Hello, and welcome back to the Amanda Gervasi Show, Fearless Leaders, the podcast where we cut through the noise, we challenge the status quo, and have real conversations about what it actually looks like to lead, build, and live fearlessly. Today's episode is for anyone who's ever felt that pull for more impact, more alignment, more purpose, and actually had the courage to go after it. Today, I'm sitting down with Filomena Lofranco, a powerhouse leader. She's an entrepreneur and the visionary behind LDV Co, a brand built on experience, culture, connection, and what she calls La Dolce Vita, living life fully and intentionally. For 25 years of leadership experience across business and operations, Filomena didn't just climb the ladder, she redefined what leadership looks like. And now she's creating spaces where people don't just network, they connect, they grow, and they step into something bigger. We're also diving into the LDV Fashion Show happening April 22nd, which is not just a fashion show, it's an experience, it's a statement, and a celebration of culture, community, and impact. This is a conversation about leadership, reinvention, bold moves, and what happens when you stop playing small and you start building something that actually reflects who you are. So let's get right into it. Hi, Filomena. I want to welcome you to the Amanda Gervasi Show. And I'm so happy to have you here. I've known Filomena for several years now, and I've been part of her wonderful fashion show. And I'm just excited to share her and her experiences as a leader and as an innovator and as a philanthropist with all of you and just getting to know her journey and understanding her journey and how she did it her way. So, Filomena, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you for being part of my many activities that I like to do. And I thank you. And you have been part of the fashion show in one form or another from the beginning. So thank you very
Yeah,
much.
absolutely. So let's sort of jump into things. You've had over 25 years in leadership across operations, HR, business. What was the real moment that you realized that you weren't just working, you were leading, you were a leader?
Yeah, I think it happened many years ago. I was actually 8 months, like just under 30 years. I was 8 months pregnant, and I got called into a meeting because the leader at the time wasn't able to go to a meeting. So she sent me and she says, just go there and be Phil, was her instructions. So I went to this meeting. They were opening up a new department. And instead of just taking notes to bring back the information, I started to participate in the conversation, and I had a lot to offer at the table. So I really think that I was placed in an environment that I didn't know I needed to be in, to almost have that aha moment to say, hey, I have value here and I have way more ideas that I can share. And yeah, I think that's really where it kind of started. It was like, wait a second, I have a lot to offer, and how do I get back into those rooms um, my own way, basically.
And I get that. I think it lights a fire on you in you, and it becomes hard to leave because you're in that safe corporate environment, but at the same time you have so much that you want to give. And where do you find that balance, and where do you finally walk away? So when did you officially walk away to start LDV and Co and Leaders Lounge?
Yeah. So in 2020, before COVID happened, I was already planning on, continuing on in a different path. You reach a certain level in your life, your adult children, they're married, conversations with your spouse on what's going to happen now for the next 30 years. And I had an opportunity to say, I'm going to go do something passionate that I want to do. I've always grown up in a community where we give back. As early as I can remember, things like back in the 70s, the late 70s, when we would go ice skating, and my parents, especially my dad, was really involved in making sure all the kids had sharpened skates with some of the other dads. And it was just everybody would just throw their skates in a pile, and then all the parents would just pick out whatever fit that person, the child at the time. And we would go skating on the ponds outside. Actually, one of them was in the back on the field of one of our elementary schools. All the dads got together, flooded the field, and so that we could skate. So giving back in that manner, that we were like sharing skates that didn't fit us anymore, and we were also receiving skates to skate that day or that year. And then also, coming from an Italian Catholic background, we were always volunteering in the community. So volunteering, giving back to community was what I was raised on. But I find that sometimes throughout our life, we start to get busy. You get married, you have a couple of kids, you're working these full-time jobs, you're just trying to make ends meet, you're trying to make sure your house is clean and the food's in the fridge and the sandwiches are done and all that stuff that's forgotten very quickly when your kids get older, but is a sacrifice to do. And now I had a little bit of a window of an opportunity to give back to community. So I'm really happy that I have entered this field of giving back. It's very rewarding on a personal level that I have the ability to do it. And also, the people I meet that want to help me do it is very heartwarming. And of course, giving back to the various charities that we select every year.
I love that. And, this year you're doing Cartolucci Hospice. So that's a beautiful charity to be a part of and to donate to. So that's exciting. And yeah, every year you choose something different, which is nice. So considering that you've been so actively involved in the community and in charities, what are some of the charities that you're currently involved with?
Yeah, so we started with if we refer back to the fashion show, which is a charity component every year, we started with Dress for Success, which is a great charity that helps women get back into the workplace. And I felt very honored to be able to donate two outfits. The two stores, as you know, our first fashion show was only 70 women, and we had two clothing stores on the runway, and both of them donated an outfit. So women got to walk away with an outfit at the charity and also a financial donation. So that was the first start of like, hey, there's something here that we can really make a difference in people's lives.
That's
So
beautiful.
I'm very proud of that one. And then after that, we thought, okay, let's think of something we can do back to the children, of course. And we met with a number of children charities, and we ended up working with Ellen, who is the leader for the Waves of Change for Autism. So she helps families and children get some of the services that they need, especially because there's a long waiting list to get tested and programming. So she has an application process, and her funds that she raises goes to these families within communities. And I'm happy to say that last year we raised enough money to provide two families with full support so that they could get their children tested and into the programs that they needed. So that, like, we are helping real people, not just, some fairy tale, this is what you could do. These are real lives that we're impacting. And I just think that it's a lot of work, as you know, these fashion shows, and I don't get paid for it. It's all volunteer and all around me are volunteering. So when I'm able to be successful in giving back, it just makes it all worthwhile, right? We can all celebrate our hard work to putting the fashion show on. And this year we're doing Cartolucci Hospice Bond, and they are a service that provides end of life care. And I met with a number of charities again this year, and they really stood out within community, but especially the services that they do. It's like they are helping the community right there when the doors open. So I'm really proud to be supporting them this year. So those are the three charities that, our fashion show is very new. We were supposed to be 25 people, and we were 70 the first year. And the second year, we thought we'd have 150 because some of the gentlemen said, we want to come too. And we ended up, I think, 350. And right now, we are short about 400. We're reaching just
Wow.
that. So, there's just no more room for anybody else in the hall. In the way that we would like to present our show has to be very controlled so that everybody gets the experience. We're not just selling tickets. It's about the experience for sure.
And I love that. I think it's one thing to say that you want to get involved and help out, and it's nothing to actually do it. And the fact that you're getting so actively involved, and you're not just doing it on your own, you're bringing other people into it and bringing awareness to all these different charities is huge. So, and you're doing it in a fun way. So that that's always nice too. But it brings everybody together. I think it's the power in numbers when you bring people together, how much of an impact you can make. So I think it's beautiful what you're doing and continue to do it. I know it's a lot of work, but like you said, I think the outcome is worth it.
Yeah, and I think this year, like, I was very humbled to see so many people reach out. How can I help? What do you need help with? Can I volunteer? Can I give you a door prize? Can I print something for you? Whatever the offer was, it was very humbling, to be honest with you, to say, wow, we're doing something and people want to get involved. And we know that community is what builds the rest of the world. It starts with community within our own community. Yes. So I'm really proud of that. And the fashion show is an experience, as you know, that for yourself that have been there since day one. It is, I say like it's coming to an Italian's house, right? We welcome you, we feed you, maybe we'll entertain you, and all on a Wednesday night. So I purposely picked Wednesday night because it doesn't interfere with the weekends and all these other important things that are going out. It's not a Thursday, which is usually the networking evening we find. And it's in the middle of the week when people are sort of like, what am I going to do for this weekend? This upcoming weekend. Oh, let's go to this fashion show fundraiser and help and give back to community. And all the stores are local. So everyone in community is seeing these stores. They walk by them, they can drive to them. It's about helping the small businesses in the community as well showcase their brands. And we have a couple of real new ones this year, and I'm excited. We have a few entertainers this year as well, and just a lot of companies coming together, big companies that want to give back to community and want to feed our people as well, Italian style.
I love that. And I love the fact that you're supporting small businesses, you're supporting local businesses, you're supporting, entrepreneurs and leaders in the area, in the community. Because like you said, it's important to start locally. And, when you come together as a community, you can do big things. And a big part of that is supporting each other. And you are actively doing that.
Yeah,
So
no, absolutely. And
thank
I
you.
think also the people that are surrounding us, like there's a lot of young people involved, a lot of young entrepreneurs. This is how we mentor people. We make space for them. And this is something that I'm really proud of that a lot of younger people have joined my circle on the committee. Um, Anything from videotaping and stuff on the stage, background, behind the scenes, and of course so many volunteers in production and getting ticket sales and posts up and writing articles and that kind of stuff. It's been a great last 4 or 5 months, and we're just around the corner, so we're at the finish line almost. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, I mean, I think on the surface, it looks like it's all been easy and you've had this fantastic journey, but I'm sure that, you've had some hard leadership lessons that you've had to learn along the way. So what are some of the things that you've learned? How did you navigate them? How did you grow from them?
Yeah, so I think like my I always talk about transferable skills. I think they're so important, and I think people forget that people bring their experiences and their transferable skills to every new situation. My leadership environment, my path was very much around complexity, around accountability, and in particular, labor relations and organizational leadership. So I think one of the biggest things I learned very on in life, and especially in my professional career, is that you need to have the conversations. We were taught in school about dealing with difficult people. I'd like to flip that over and talk about why don't we talk about having difficult conversations? I don't think everyone's difficult. Do I think that there are people that should be having conversations, maybe not with you, with somebody else to kind of sort themselves out? Absolutely. Do I think that people get up and just want to be difficult every day? Maybe there's, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist or haven't done the test, but I think maybe there's a few. I think I bumped into a few, but I
I'm
really
sure there's some out there.
yeah. I really think that the average person wants to do the best that they can with the abilities that they have. So, as leaders, it is our responsibility to have those difficult conversations. And those conversations start with yourself. So, where am I on this path? How am I dealing with the situations? And then, how am I communicating those situations across the table to somebody else? And I think that that's where the leaders that are really successful, they have that superpower because they know themselves. They surround themselves with really great, intelligent people so they can draw from them. And they also have the ability to sit down and have a coffee and say, like, what's up? Or these are our goals, or these are our visions. Where do you fit in the puzzle of the organization? I think that's the biggest thing. When people start to lose their way as an employee, a colleague, a consultant that you've hired, whatever it may be, it's sort of like regrouping and like, hold on, we agreed to. And I don't know if everybody has those conversations. They might have them with other people, but I'm not sure if they have them with the person that they need to have them with. So I do think that the biggest thing is having those conversations after knowing where you kind of are going to jump off of in regards to your ability and comfort level of dealing with difficult conversation.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Sometimes I think we give surface level conversations, especially when maybe there's conflict with another employee or in an environment, rather than actually dealing with, I think, the root of the problem. And sometimes it's not, oh, I didn't get my way and this is, and it's caused an issue. There's usually something else going on. And I think it's important to build those rapports with the people that you work with other leaders to really understand where they're coming from, and ultimately, we all learn in different ways. We all communicate in different ways. And the better we get to know each other, the easier it is, right? So you're absolutely right. It's having those, they could be difficult conversations for people. It makes you a little bit more vulnerable. But ultimately, I think that's when you're going to get the best out of people, when you really get to know them and understand where they're coming from and maybe why these issues are arising.
I think, I like to say that if you avoid the difficult conversation, you delay the outcome because you
Hmm.
don't change anything. Right?
Right.
You just build on the issue that's at hand, I guess. And that's a lot, and again, transferable skills. Those are the skills I developed as an HR leader, as a people leader, in the labor relations field. So obviously for me, sitting here speaking to you about it, I have a lot of language I can put to it because that's where I come from. But when you're dealing with leaders, sometimes people come from different areas and sometimes have to have those language bits, I guess, in their conversations, right? I think also one of the things is like when you're a leader, I think the best thing is that, it requires clarity, like really clarity on what you're talking about and what you're leading. The timing, is the timing good to do whatever it is that you need to do? And then also the willingness to be just, uncomfortable because it's uncomfortable being a leader. There's that saying, it's lonely at the top. It is, but only because you don't surround yourself with other leaders, like-minded people. I think one of the things I know your background is also education, I believe. Yes. And so one of the things I always would say to my own children as well is, you will find your people. You will find like-minded people. You just have to get out there and find them. Which brings me to the Leaders Lounge and the networking company that I run, which really that's where it was born out of. All these consulting, assignments I've had, or I'm working with small to medium business companies, and I always tell people when they ask me, "What do you do with your consulting company?" Really just teach people to play in the sandbox. It's that simple. So I bring that information forward on just opportunities on maybe how you could direct your staff or deal with your colleagues in a more healthier, productive way. And Leaders Lounge was born out of people saying, we don't network anymore, nobody goes out anymore, everyone's on the screen. Well, here we are having an interview on Zoom,
Right.
which I
I
totally
know.
appreciate personally, but at the moment with this busy life I'm leading. But you know I do get out, and like yourself, and people need to get out and meet people. There is nothing will replace the energy exchange when you walk into a room. Nothing. And that's where Leaders Lounge comes out of. It comes about bringing people together, bringing topics together, and allowing people to have space to learn something new.
Yep. It's a great environment that you have created. I've been to one of your events and it's providing just really practical advice. And I think that's what's important. And sometimes it's things that we don't know a lot about and you're bringing that to our attention. And so, you offer some really great events and networking opportunities. And like you said, it is important to get a network. I think the more people you surround yourself with that are like-minded, that are doing big things, it's just going to influence you to do big things. So, continue doing that. But yeah, I know we're having, like you said, we're having our interview online, but anything that I can get involved with, I do because it's nice to get out and meet people and you start seeing this world. This world opens up to you. I think when you start meeting new people that are like you, and sometimes you just need that thing, that spark to ignite what's really that's always been inside of you that somebody else might have, you know?
Absolutely. And I think, like, you've been to some of my events. I think, when I do my opening, I always talk about it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Hmm.
Because those people will be in rooms that you may not be in. But then all of a sudden you get a phone call, a text, an email saying, I spoke to so and so and they've asked me to follow up with you. This is what I'm looking for. Well, if you don't meet those people, they don't know who you are. So it's great to think that you know all these people, but it's really who knows you. And those are the moments that when you're at these networking and these leadership moments to make a difference by standing out. Always have to stand out some way, right? You want someone to remember you.
Yes.
And everybody has their personal brand and all that stuff, and I don't wanna get into that, but, when people are going out, just remember, how am I gonna be noticed? And I'm not talking, standing in a chair and screaming from the top of your lungs. That's not sort of what I'm talking about. But I am talking about that when you are speaking to somebody, what is it that you're gonna walk away with that person going, "Oh, next time I need so and something to do here or there, I'm gonna think of that person." So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think going in with that mindset of the purposeful mindset, I think is big. So you're not going in just to be like, oh, we'll see, and I'll be a wallflower, but really going in with the idea of I am going to meet people and having that presence and building that confidence. Because the more we do it, the more confidence you build. And people do remember that.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. I think post COVID, a lot of us did get stuck in this behind our screens. And it's
Yeah.
important to get out there. And so having these opportunities to do that is so important to develop those transferable skills because being able to communicate and speak effectively and is huge. And you're going to use that in any part of your life, in any career, in any leadership role that you take on. So these are just easy ways to practice that and get comfortable with it and just build that confidence.
Yeah. And I think technology is a beautiful thing and maybe not so beautiful as we know. But
Yeah.
I think that these types of conversations that we're having are beneficial and they're also beneficial in person. So if there's a blend, like a balance where you're meeting people in person, but you're also being able to have this interview, as we know, we got dressed, we're going to get on the line, we're going to speak for an hour, then you're going to go do your thing, I'm going to go do my thing. And we haven't had to leave our home so that we could continue on our day. So these are the benefits of online. But when there's an opportunity to get out in front of people, I think it's also something that people need to say, yeah, you know what? I need to do that. Even if
Yes.
it's every 2 weeks or once a month, whatever you can commit to. And wherever you can go to meet more than three people is a great opportunity to go learn something new. I really appreciate that you have indicated that Leaders Lounge offers a variety of topics. I've done that on purpose. The goal is that everybody needs to know everything, something of everything anyway. Our upcoming event that we're having for Leaders Lounge, it's you, your children, and the law. And that one's taking place, I believe, on May 21st. And we have three or four lawyers there. And we're just going to talk about when do the parents stop being responsible for their children and how much responsibility parents actually have between the ages of 13 and 25? When your kids start going to parties, when your kids start drinking, when your kids start driving, when your kids go to the cottage, when your kids are using small, um, the ATVs and all that stuff, and when your kids have other passengers in the car, all the stuff that we think my kid will be fine. But as we know, it's not so much about trusting your child, it's also about what's around them. You know,
Right.
your child might be a great driver and then something happens and it has nothing to do with them not being a great driver. It's an accident, right? But it's sort of where do the parents become responsible? So it's a great event. And we have a lot of parents coming, of course, because they want to learn about it. But we also have a lot of parent people that just want to come and learn. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not in that boat myself. My children are adults, but I just would want to learn myself on what is going on and who's responsible, where, what, and when, and what to do. So these are the type of things that we also talk about besides the leadership part, right? Sort
Mhm.
of everyday situations that we find ourselves in.
Yeah. And that's important. Absolutely. The everyday situation, that's what I'm saying. It's a lot of practical knowledge, stuff that we need, and sometimes we don't think about that we need, and you're bringing it to our attention. And I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we spoke a little bit about LDV and the fashion show, but let's talk about LDV and Co. And I know that, it's not just a travel agency, I guess you want to call it, but it's an experience. Your experiences that you're curating, it's a lifestyle, it's a community. So, what was your real vision when you started to build that and what has it evolved into?
Okay, sure. So LTV and Co started as taking a small group of women to Italy. That was the premises. I was on the plane with my husband flying back a few years ago now. And I turned around to him and I said, you know what? We're always in Italy. I think I'm going to just start taking women to Italy, up and down. the beautiful coastline and the beautiful towns into the beautiful towns. And I had a stranger sitting next to me, and mid flight, she turned around and she says, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I take women to Italy." And she's like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." And it's one of those powerful things that you put in the universe and then all of a sudden it appears. And so that's how it started. So it started very small and we're just going to take women to Italy. And we did a number of trips and all that good stuff. Then we started with events. People started asking us, "Oh, can you do a little event here? Can you do a little event there?" And then the lifestyle part, of course, has to do with a bit of the fashion, a bit of like living La Dolce Vita. Kind of depends on what you think La Dolce Vita is. But it's really bringing the Italian culture to life through the curated experiences. So, not surface level luxury, but more meaningful story driven moments. So, I'm so happy to say that, some of my clients are generational travel. I've had, the grandfathers reach out and say, "Listen, I want to take my children and my grandchildren to our little town in Italy." And we've the whole trip around that, and even into the point where I have a lot of contacts in Italy, historians that were able to look up where they lived and the history of the great grandmother's house. And that one was, I think, in Calabria, which was just very, very successful. And they're
That's
very, very
beautiful.
happy. Last year I spent a lot of time in Sicily, which is what probably inspired me to do the Sicilian themed fashion show. I spent a lot of time in Sicily, traveling, through Sicily with families, with also group tours, and going out and actually planning a few events for some corporate travel down in Sicily. Again, the options are endless. So if you want to go to Italy, please contact us. If you want to do business in Italy, please contact us. If you want to learn about Italy, please contact us. It's all about Italy. So I do specialize only in Italy. That's why it's called LDV Co, which is La Dolce Vita Company. And so we do travel programs, events, and partnerships, I guess is sort of like if we needed to put a few words together. But really is about people living. It's not the destination. Obviously, it's Italy, but it's not just about going to Italy. It's about living the lifestyle that we believe, anyway, Italy brings to everyone.
Yeah. I love that. I think just living intentionally, right? Going
Mhm.
there with that open mind and open heart and just taking it all in. Uh,
Yeah.
however that is to you for sure. So, you talk about La Dolce Vita and it's different for everybody. What does
Yeah.
that mean to you?
So I
How do
think
you live it?
yes, I think La Dolce Vita is not about indulgence, which is very important to understand, at least from my perspective, but more about presence, being here, being real, enjoying your life for the moment right now. We live a very fast life. So I do think it's about slowing down. I think that it's about returning to sharing a meal. Every Sunday, we used to have Sunday lunches, the life we live today, not so much, and making that appointment with your family and friends intentionally saying, we are going to spend time together. I'm a big everybody come to my house type of girl. I know there's people that like to get dressed up and go out. I love getting dressed up and going out, but I have this thing about everyone around the table. Whether we fit or not, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have a big house. For those of us that grew up in a small house, we fed the kids first and then the adults ate. The guys would go outside and play cards on the picnic tables while, the women would wash all the dishes and get dessert ready. Very old fashioned way of thinking. I understand. But there was something about us all being together. Obviously, duties have changed now, thank God, but it's still about being together. And what's important is the conversation that happens at the table, feeling the sense of belonging, community. You can't get that from a text, from a WhatsApp, from an email. Just having those live conversations and feeling that you belong. I really think that that's part of the Italian, I guess, lifestyle of La Dolce Vita. So, sharing a meal, having that conversation and feeling that you belong, I think it really is vita santa, as we say in Italian, like really fulfilling, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I grew up the same way where it was all about getting together, always having family dinners together. Yeah, the Sunday lunch at Nonna's house, that type of thing. And I try to instill that today, even though we have such busy lives and I have, the kids are involved in a million different activities and we're running around. But that's the one thing that I try to do. And we do probably 9 times out of 10 is we are getting together for dinner. All of us, we're sitting down. I will have dinner earlier. We'll have dinner a little bit later to fit everybody's schedule, but we are sitting down together. We're not doing individual things.
Yes. It's important. And I think it builds community. And I think there's a lot of
Yes.
people in our community that don't have access to these big fat Italian families, I'm going to say. But we welcome everyone to the table, especially when you've grown up in Toronto. I did not grow up in an Italian area. I grew up in Toronto in a more ethnic area, I guess, but not totally Italian and English area. And our doors were always open. So our
Mhm.
tables in the summer was full of all types of children and cultures, excuse me. And we just felt like we were a community. We felt like we were a family. Had conversations. We felt like we belonged. So I think that we need to get back to a little bit of that. Again, we live in a fast-paced world, but whatever we can do, starting with our own families and then branching out to everyone else, welcoming them in.
Absolutely. And it goes back to exactly what you said, having those conversations because we've lost a lot of that because we're so it's we'll send a text out and I see like even my kids and everybody's we're just texting. And so it's nice to just come together and like you, it's like I want to invite everybody over. I love to go out and get dressed up. But in the end, it's nice to bring everybody together and just
Yeah.
talk and
Yeah.
enjoy the simple things. I think we've forgotten how to enjoy some of the simple things. And
Yeah.
it's good to just, bring it back down a little bit and just enjoy each other for who we are,
Yeah.
and laugh.
Exactly. And enjoy, yeah, exactly. I had a few years ago, we were living in a different home and in the city, and I had a relative come in and he stopped at the front door. And I thought it was the weirdest thing. And I'm like, "Are you going to come in? And he said, you know what? This house has such great energy. And it was the weirdest thing because we've never talked about energy, but it wasn't so much the house. It was all the people in the house that gave off
Mhm.
that lovely energy when he opened the door to come in because he was one of the last ones to arrive. And I thought to myself, we're on to something. We need to continue community. We need to continue exchanging energies and bringing people together. And my little part is my little part, but there's if everybody did a little part, wow, what kind of world we'd live in.
Absolutely, absolutely. And whether you're doing something small in your own backyard or you're
Yeah.
planning the fashion show and bringing so many people together, diverse people
Yeah.
together in one community, and you're doing the same thing. So it's so important, and I love that you're doing it, and hopefully you're inspiring others to do that too. Right? So you've done a lot. You continue to do a lot. What's next? Do you have anything that you're?
So what's next? Well, I
Yeah.
have a couple things coming up. What's next? So the first one is that on stage this year, I'm actually launching a LDV Co collection in the swimsuit scene. As you know, we always do a swimsuit scene. And all the proceeds from the kimonos that we're launching on stage are going to go to the charity. So we have a number of samples and people can order them, that night only type of thing. And the kimonos, the net proceeds will be going to the charity. We just thought it would be fun, right? To do
Oh, I
something
love that.
different. And I'm also launching actually my own podcast that night. It's going to be called Espresso Moment. So stop by when you're there because I know you'll be there in full force. Yeah, so I just thought we'd try to launch something that people will remember and they might want to participate. It's a little bit more of a different format. It's more like asking 5 or 6 questions and sort of a little bit more rapid than a full podcast right now. And yeah, it came about Espresso Moment came about because I meet so many people, so many interesting people in my travels, in my work, and I'm like, well, would it be great for people to know what you just told me? Oh, I'd love to share that. So that's where Espresso Moment is coming up. And those are the two big things. I think they're pretty big for me anyway. And yeah, I look forward to people's feedback and listening to, if they want to be on and looking after all that.
Oh, that sounds so exciting. I'm so excited for you and happy for you that you're launching a couple of new things and they're coming out at the fashion show. So hopefully everyone listening is coming to the fashion show. You get to be a part of that exciting moment. Is there anything else you want to share with us before we close things out?
You know, I, I think a couple of things I'd love to share is that, if you're home and you kind of feel stuck and you're like, oh, what do I do next? Right? Reach out to leaders. Get a mentor, go have a coffee with somebody. You would be surprised how much energy you get from somebody's conversation over a coffee. hence the espresso moment. But without the espresso moment, you don't have to be on online, of course. Just meet people that inspire you. If you see somebody online, DM them. Tell them what you're liking, what you like about what they're doing, right? See if you can have a call, have a conversation. And for the leaders out there, what I would say is, let's start bringing some of these younger leaders up the chain and inspire them and mentor them, because mentorship is number one in any field that you're in. Having a mentor is very important. And so I was very lucky in my own life to have two great mentors. And I truly, truly believe that they are the foundation of my success. Being able to speak to somebody, being able to, sort of give examples on how you're going to handle something, and them giving their lived experiences or their transferable skills over to you is so powerful. It's so powerful to someone who wants to make a difference. And I've been lucky to have a couple of mentors myself.
It's so nice that you had some really strong, supportive people in your life that helped you. And yeah, mentorship is a wonderful thing to have. I've been a mentor, I've been a mentee, and I think that these are great opportunities, and it's a learning experience for both parties, which is nice because it's not just for the person being mentored. It goes both ways, and both people just, I think you can gain so much from it and learn so much from it. Yeah,
Well, thank you
absolutely.
very much for having me. This was wonderful.
Thank
This is
you.
the fashion show. And for those of you that don't know, I will say that Amanda started at the fashion show, our first one. I'm singing at the fashion show. I'm not sure if your viewers know the many talents that you have, but you are a trained opera singer, right?
Yes, I
Yes.
am.
And so she sang a couple of songs. And then at the end, I said to her, can we get everybody's attention? And then you belted out this beautiful opera. And everybody was like, what's going on here? So we opened the door. So it was an amazing moment. People still talk about it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And then last year, you joined us on stage as one of our models. So thank you
Yeah.
for coming out and volunteering and raising awareness for ways of change of autism. And this year, we have a special activation, which we're so excited to share. And I think we'll keep it a secret. So for anybody that is coming to the show, look out for Amanda, see if you can find her in the reception area, I guess. And then I guess you could tell your viewers, maybe show some pictures after on what you were doing at the fashion show this year.
Absolutely. I'll share the surprise post fashion show. I'm excited to be a part of it. And thank you so much for having me be a part of it for the past 3 years.
Yes.
I love it. And hopefully, my listeners are gonna come and join and enjoy the experience and see the surprise because it's going to be
Yes, for sure.
fantastic. But I will link all of Filomena's contact information, her businesses, and how to buy tickets for the LDV Fashion Show taking place April 22nd at venue. So
Yes.
thank you again so much.
Hey, take care.
Filomena, this was such a powerful conversation. What I love most about your journey is that it's not just about success, it's about intention. It's about choosing to build a life and a business that actually aligns with who you are, not what the world expects from you. And that's the kind of leadership we need more of. So if you're listening to this and something resonates with you, this is your reminder that you don't need permission to pivot, to grow, or to step into something bigger. You just need the courage to go first. Filomena, thank you again for sharing your story, your insights, and for the impact that you're creating through LDV Co, through Leaders Lounge, and through all the incredible work you're doing with the upcoming fashion show and the charities that you get involved with. And to everyone listening, if you got value from today's episode, make sure to share it, tag us, and send it to someone who needs to hear this message. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and stay connected for more fearless conversations. I'm Amanda Gervasi, reminding you to live boldly, lead fearlessly, and never settle for a life that doesn't feel like yours. I'll see you on the next episode.